Welcome back to Cards and Comics, guys. Today I have another 90s insert set ranking. This is a cool one. And I'm going to have two back-to-back from sets that are very similarly designed, and we'll see how they rank. But today we're going to talk about 1997 Stadium Club Patent Leather. And so I'll describe this set a little bit, and I'll show it off. And before I do that, though, I want to go through and show where I'm at today. So I've ranked a bunch of sets. I have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 sets I've ranked so far. So here is my numbers here. Here's the sets I've ranked. Here is the scores I put together and overall where they've ranked. And here is the actual chart I put together. So if you look at it, I know it's low tech here, but scoring on the lowest with the 56 score. Again, I took my score, I standardized it to a 100-point scale. And you can see the best set is Ultra Hitting Machines, and the worst set is 93 Select Stars. With Stadium Club Ringleaders and Power Zone kind of scoring the same. They're very similar sets. And then I've got the Holographics, which is a 2000 set, but I threw it in there. A 99 EX Century Favorites for Fenway, 96 Studio, 97 Ultra Power Plus, a Gold Medallion, 97 Top Sweet Strokes, 99 Top Scrum All Electric Refractors, all coming in. And over here are some comments of why I looked at them. And one of the big things I've started to do is count Hall of Famers in the sets. So if you look at the Ultra Hitting Machines, 5 of the 10, so 50% of the set is Hall of Famers. Plus there's Barry Bonds, right? So that's like 6 really good players. Here's one that's 19 out of 40, so almost 50%. But like, you know, one of the sets that I think maybe I ranked a little weird was the 96 Studio Master Strokes. 7 of the 8 players are Hall of Famers, including Griffey and Thomas. The set itself wasn't in crazy design, but that definitely helped the grading. You can kind of see how the ranking here. So this kind of gives us the baseline of where we're at with the sets I've graded so far. So again, we'll go back to the set we're going to talk about today is the 97 Stadium Club Patent Leather. So this set came in Series 2 packs. It was 1 in 36 packs. So yeah, like that is 1 in 36. So I think, again, this is a 24 pack box. So this is, you get one every box and a half. So, you know, it wasn't a 1 per box, but it's close. You know, 1 per every other box. Or you get 3 so to get, so in 3 boxes you get 2, something like that. So there you go. So let's look at the set itself and look at the Hall of Famer. So here is the set design. So card number 1, here's Ivan Rodriguez. So cool set design. You got a lot of things going on. You got die cuts, you got gold embossing, you got, where it's see-through, and you got the leather design. So it's a lot of good design going on in the set. So we got Ivan Rodriguez. Over here, the glare. Ken Caminiti. Okay. We got big one, Barry Bonds. Great looking card. Big one, Ken Griffey Jr. Greg Maddux. I like that they threw a picture in there, and awesome is Greg Maddux. Craig Biggio, so definitely a glove guy and a good hitter. Andres Galarraga. I do believe he was a good first baseman. I don't think this is a weird one. Kenny Lofton, obviously a good center fielder. We've got Barry Larkin, which is a great shortstop. I like to see Barry Larkin in sets like this. Mark Grace, again, a player who doesn't appear in tons of insert sets in the late to mid 90s. Ray Ordonez, and again, we always forget how good he was for that 4 or 5 year run he was on, but he was considered a big time Gold Glover. We've got Roberto Alomar, he could have been all time great, honestly, if he hadn't done the spitting thing, because he was such a hobby darling for a long time, and then he did that, and it really ruined his appeal in the hobby. And then last but not least, we have Mr. Captain Derek Jeter. So there it is. There is, I'll zoom in a little bit. So there is all the cards in the set. We've got, so big, so when we talk about, for my personal collection, we got 3 out of the 4 big players the 90s I always look for. We got Jeter, Griffey, and Bonds. We're just missing the Frank Thomas. And that makes sense. Frank Thomas was mostly a DH. So, like, why would they throw him in the set? Even when he played first base, he was never considered to be a Gold Glover. So let's look at the set rarity. It's so again. Oh, sorry. I go back to player selection. So 7 out of the 13 players are Hall of Famers, plus Barry Bonds. So that's over 50%. So that's definitely in the mid to upper tier. So I gave player selection a 7. You could argue it could be an 8. But there's only 13 cards in the set. That's one thing. It's a little bit on the low, just amount of cards. You've got a lot of players like Caminiti's not big, but you got Maddox in there too. You got Biggio, Galarraga's not big, Lofton's not big. I like Larkin, but being in Indianapolis area, Grace is okay. Ordonez is definitely not. So the problem is that Alomar is not hugely collectible. Is that outside of those Hall of Famers, even some of the Hall, like I think Alomar's Hall of Fame, they're not as collectible. So I gave it a 7. I think. That's where it goes. To get to like the 9 and 10, you have to have all 4. That's just my criteria. You have to have at least Thomas, right? So I collect Thomas, Warren, Bond. So I would definitely give it an 8 if there was a Frank Thomas, but it makes no sense to have Thomas in the set. So 7's a good score. Set rarity. It's less than 1 per box, but again, this was 97. Set's not overly rare. You can buy it, on eBay as a full set, like I did. I've seen it for like $150 to $200 as a full set. It's okay. So rarity wise though, it's just not, again, we're comparing to sets that are like 1 in 72, 1 in 144, 1 in 288. So to me, it's just a little bit above average because it's less than 1 per box. To me, average is definitely 1 per box. So you get a 5 if you're 1 per box. It's a little bit rarer than that. So I got a 6. Set design, it's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So again, we look at it. Set design, we got die cuts, we've got leather, and we got some foil here, and it's a good design. It's like it looks good. It looks like the webbing of the glove. So if this would have been earlier, let's say 95, 96 even, or 94, this would have got a much higher score. Just because, like we'll see, there has been, these kind of sets, these flare hot gloves. This idea of die cutting and kind of faux leather had been done before. So I gave it a 7. Again, you could argue an 8. This is one of those sets where you could argue 8s for like player selection and set design. But I gave it a 7, so it's well above average. But again, it's not that revolutionary. At the time, it's cool, and definitely there's other sets that are similar to it, but again, I don't think it's like 10 worthy for sure. So I give it a 7. You could argue an 8, but hey, I think it's definitely above average for design. Set value, again, this is very interesting because of the die cuts. You can see cards that sometimes sell pretty high because they're not easy to get 10s on. Greg Maddox PSA 10 just recently sold for $350. Raw Griffies, which I usually base my set pricing on, is between $25. So that's about what it costs to get your Raw Griffey. And a PSA 8 Griffey has sold between $60 and $80, showing that grading on this set does make a difference because, again, with the die cuts, it makes this set harder to get good grades on. And in fact, I've seen a lot of 6s and 7s in this set. It's just a set that's just a little harder due to that condition of the cards because of how they were made. And again, you can see with the die cutting, and you can have corner softness. You can get issues here where the die cuts damage the cardboard when they're made. You get flipping of the corners. So again, you can see a little ding here. So getting 10s on this set's very tough. That's why that Greg Maddox brought $350. So I put a 7 on the value because, again, you can get a Raw Griffey for $25, and he's going to be the most expensive player in the set. And again, graded, they're a little bit more expensive, so I gave it a 7. But if this set was just more normalized because of condition, it would have rated lower because, again, a lot of times raw and graded don't mean a lot of difference in price at the 8 and 9 level. But this one does because of the difference in condition or the rarity of condition issue. So it's one of those sets where if you can get high grade, you can get actually some pretty high dollar cards. The Griffey 10 in this set would sell for a pretty good penny. But I gave it a 7 because, again, I think it's above average, but that's really being driven by the condition sensitivity of the set. Bonus points, again, I gave it a 1 for the bonus, just because the unique die cut. It hadn't been, this is a design you don't see done as far as how they did the die cut. So I gave it a +1. It's not like leather, die cut or glove die cuts hadn't been done before, but this one definitely did it a little differently. So I gave it a +1 there. So overall, I gave it a 28 score, which on the 100-point scale gets a score of a 70. So there you go. That's my score sheet here. And so going back to overall, where would that put the set at? 70 would put it right here, tied for 4th, which is holographics, the holographic piece of the series set. So that's a pretty good score because that's a game use set. So again, that's, I know like it looks harsh to get 7s and 6s to sets, but I don't grade, I guess, too easy, I guess, overall. So to me, a 70 may seem like a C, but in context, it's the 4th best set I've ever graded out of the 11 I've done. So, it's pretty good. It's definitely a good design. It's got great selection of players. Again, over half of them are Hall of Famers. You've got Griffey, you've got Bonds. You have some cast-offs, players who aren't hot anymore, or just kind of like, Galarraga. They have their micro markets. You got people in Colorado, you got people in Cleveland who want some of these players. But again, Caminiti's not got a big, fan base, but, there are people who collect these players. So again, PSA 10s of any of these guys probably do okay. Tough set. It's a great looking set, honestly. I think it's one of those sets that, over time, with the condition sensitivity, it's hard to, let's say, make this a key card in your collection. But if you are a 10 chaser, this is probably one of those cards that you probably don't have, or it's a card that you had to pay a lot of money to get because they're just tough and there's a low pop. So that's what it is, guys. It's a cool set. It's like, upper mid tier, in terms of the inserts I've rated. But next time, I'm going to be talking about another set that's very similar. It's from 1998 Fleer, and we're talking about the Prime Leather, and here's a preview of it. Prime Leather, which is going to be compared to this set here because they're both leather sets. We'll see who did it better. All right, so there it is, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.